you still want to do business with whatever Silicon Valley Bank ends up being. What are you hearing about how likely that is?
Absolutely. I think it's really important that Silicon Valley in this next incarnation does continue to survive and thrive. There are conversations being had with some banks. Obviously, it's unclear if there's a deal that has been made yet. There are some private investors that are looking at potentially investing in the bank and recapitalizing as well. And I really hope a deal comes together so the bank can be a going concern.
I know in the conversations I've had, there are signatories to your letter, people backing your initiative to keep Silicon Valley Bank alive, do business with it, but who are also telling portfolio companies to pull money for whatever reason. How do you...
Yeah, so look, Thursday morning, when the news got out that the bank might be at risk, every investor was getting contacted by their founder on what to do. And your fiduciary responsibility is to say, yeah, even though the bank, the risk is low that the bank would go under, probably safe to pull money out. When we started hearing that multiple times is when we convened the leaders of some of the larger venture firms to say, hey, this is a prisoner's dilemma situation where on our own, everybody's going to give the same guidance, but that's not the right thing for the collective, because while some startups may be able to take their money out, others will be left, and the bank will be in a precarious position. And so that is what we tried to stop. But as you know, in a digital age, a run on a bank can happen very fast. So within a few hours, it was too late. And by the time we got our group together, the FDIC had already stepped in.
Now, of course, regulators support depositors, Hemant, but there's still a lot of stress because equity holders, bondholders are not protected. We're looking at the fallout in terms of share price from First Republic, for example, which does also have ties with the startup community. Are you still having to talk to your portfolio companies about diversification of their treasury?
Absolutely. First of all, I have to say the government stepped in here in exactly the right way and exactly the right time. Had they not done that, this truly would have been a contagion. I think things are in a very stable place now. And the advice we are giving our portfolio companies, first and foremost, has been let's make sure we have business continuity. And we are, payrolls being met and the operations are there. The employees are comfortable that they're going to get paid this week. And then we are saying we need to think about diversification, not just for them, for venture firms too. We were all just so used to relying on SVB as our bank.
You say the government did exactly what it should have done. Now, many would say, yes, they do need to step in to help depositors. But what then of basically being a bailout to venture capital firms in and of themselves? Is there nothing you could have done specifically as a grouping to support the bank?
This is not a venture capital bailout, first and foremost. I do think we could have done things. And in fact, over the weekend, all the firms, including us, we had put together plans to lend capital from our balance sheets to help these companies make payroll. Right. I think that would have at least averted the crisis for a couple of weeks while the right solutions were in place. But this all happened so fast that, honestly, if the Fed hadn't stepped in and guaranteed these deposits, it would have been very difficult.
Payroll's being made now.
Payroll's being made now. The site, from last I heard, the SVB site had started processing. Then it was down because there were so many folks checking. But it's in motion now.
What's the net result of all of this? Funding was already hard to come by 5 days ago. Did deal counts drop?
Listen, we approved the deal on Saturday. Just to give you a sense, in the middle of all this,
a deal on Saturday.
New investment on Saturday. So I will say, look, this was a very serious situation. Hopefully we'll get this averted soon. I don't think this has a material impact on what happens in terms of the venture capital business. I mean, 5 days ago, if you recall, we were all very excited about what's happening with AI, and is that the beginning of a new cycle, just like social and cloud was 15 years ago. And I think those trends are there. So the entrepreneurial activity, I do think, is very strong, and it's going to continue to be strong.
Hemant, there's been plenty of worry and hand-wringing about VC funds going under. Have your LPs been willing to be helping other LPs, stepping in, backing VC funds to make those payroll lending that you said, the support there? And ultimately, will you still see money going into the VC community?
Absolutely. I don't think this will impact the capitalization of the venture capital community. I think this is at the end of the day a bank that didn't have the risk management in place for a really fast interest rate rising environment. And again, the failure around that has been managed, and I don't think this is going to impact the venture capital firms or the investment pacing that is currently happening in the industry.